Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 167 of the Seezus Show. We're back with another fun-filled episode. Hope you guys enjoyed episode 166. That was a solo dolo episode, but still enjoyed all the impressions and the comments back and forth on TikTok and all that other good stuff as well too. So like I said, it was a solo one. It was a little awkward, it was a little weird, but I had a feeling for the homie Carl Conyers who was out of the country on a vacation, having a great time. You know what I'm saying? So I had to kind of hold the fort down and give my take on who I think the fantasy waiver was going to be and all the other good stuff as well too. So hope you guys had a good vacation. I hope everyone else enjoyed last week's episode as well too. So just to rehash, episode 166. Obviously, we go through our normal outline with biggest takeaways from the following week, players of the week, predictions, and then we talked about Shador Sanders' first L that he kind of suffered. We talked about Sam questionable calls down the stretch with San Fran. We talked about Mike Tomlin possibly being it being his last year as well too, and some key takeaways from the NBA. So without further ado, before we get into the hottest topics, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for the boy, for the legend, for my co-host Carl Conyers.
Hey, everybody.
How you been, man? Tell everybody where you was at, man.
We was in Rome, man. That shit was fire. I hadn't
Sheesh.
um I hadn't really like I've been to out of the country close, but I haven't been like on that side of the world since I was in like middle school or some shit like that. So it was really cool to get back over there and yeah, we had a really good time.
Nice, 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 nice. That's what's up. So, like, whose idea was it to go to Rome? Was it like a flip of the coin? Was one person like, was that like the first Like, was that the first choice on the list? Like, how was that process?
It was basically Delta had some deals. Where you could go internationally. And we just kind of like looked at the list and looked at dates that like actually lined up with things that on times where we knew we could actually take that time off. So it was really just like a combination of factors. We just was like, we'll go anywhere, like going going out of the country is going out of the country. So it just so happened that Rome like aligned with dates that we knew that we could take off. And it was like $75 and 50,000 miles, and we both had like the Delta card, so we had the miles, so yeah, it worked out.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Well, I'm glad you guys had a good time, man. And yeah, man. What do you think? In a perfect world, whenever you guys decide to vacate again, where would you like to go? Or I guess y'all just play by ear.
I mean, yeah, I really want to go to Japan. That's
I've been
kind of
wanting to go
like,
to Tokyo so
and
bad.
I've been wanting to go to Japan since I was in like middle school. Just to, I'm not a part of this fad right now, or it feels like everybody wants
Same.
to go. But yeah, no, that's something like I've definitely been wanting to do for a long time. So hopefully we can make that shake. But similarly, like, if another opportunity arises, I'm not gonna be super picky, man. I'm at the point where I'm just trying to do stuff.
Yep, we only getting older, so gotta definitely enjoy every moment that we have because a lot of people in this world, like more often than not, like don't even get a chance to travel out the country. Most people don't even leave within 10, 15 miles radius of their home. So, it's a blessing, man. So I'm glad you had a good time.
Yep, thank you.
All right, let's get into it, man. Week 14 just passed. This one was a little bit better on betting, except for me, probably the Eagles losing and then also the Buccaneers losing. But other than that, I feel like I had all of my predictions right. Oh, actually, I also had the Chiefs winning, but they took that L. So those are the three picks that I got incorrect. But you're probably traveling back and forth. I'm sure you looked at some box scores and whatnot as well too. But what were your takeaways from Week 14 of the NFL season?
I mean, I was back on Sunday, so I was able to
Okay.
watch this past week games. It was when you had to do the episode by yourself that I didn't really get to watch a lot of those, or any of those really. But I think for me, like just a couple of quick things. Lions got the dub, so our playoff hopes are still looking really good. I think that we'll be able to handle this next stretch of games and find our way in. From there, we'll see what happens. because we ended up losing Brian Branch, our starting safety. It's so weird that the Lions they have a bunch of injuries every year, but they're always on defense. Like our offense is always like completely fine. Like Amon-Ra, he missed like a game or two or whatever, but it's like Gibbs is there, Montgomery is there, Goff is there, our line. Like the whole offense really be fine, but the defense is like just gets besieged by injuries. But yeah, so at least, they got the W. Commanders, man. I think that it's really crazy in general that they put Jaden Daniels back out there after his arm was bent the other way. I think it's even crazier when they were already not going to make the playoffs. Like I just think that there is literally no point in him and them bringing him back this year. It felt like one of those like just to say that I could do it type shit, but and then he literally proceeded to injure the exact same elbow, and now he's already out for next week. And I'm just thinking they really should shut him down. Um, yeah, that's really my hope is that they shut him down. There's no point in kind of risking his health for the rest of this year. Um, Also, the Seahawks continue to roll. They're looking good, man. Um, it's really weird to see another iteration of the Seahawks be really good. Because I feel like for me, it was just like the Russell Wilson Seahawks when I was growing up is the only time I remember them being good. And so, for now, this to be several years after that, and they have this completely new core and new coach and all that type of stuff, and they're kind of back at it. It's crazy. Jets still suck, still the Jets. In my notes, I actually wrote that they're Poochies, so. Tough. Bucks losing to the Saints. That's crazy. Did not expect that. Really, really sucks that Baker, the way his MVP case is just completely dissipated. Um, and not entirely by fault of his own. I don't think he's really been awful, but just hasn't been good enough, clearly, and the team hasn't been good enough. And losing to the Saints, they let Tyler Shuck have like a 30 or 40-yard rushing touchdown. It was just insane. So some stuff on that defense they need to get figured out. They still have a chance to make the playoffs. They're like 7-6 right now, but considering where the season started, it's kind of disastrous for them right now. Steelers beat the Ravens. Looking,
Controversial calls, man. Controversial call to end the game.
yeah, but sometimes it's like you can't let it be that close. Lamar just has not been good this year for the most part, especially in like these big moments in these settings. So that's kind of disappointing. It feels like their season is probably going to be over now as well. Packers beat the Bears so that they have now sole possession of the number one seed in that division, which is crazy how competitive that division is right now because it's like the Packers are always good, but the Bears and Lions aren't always good, let alone at the same time. So having all three of those teams be really good is crazy, and they're all fighting for seeding right now. And then the last two things is just like the Rams continue to look really good and dominant, and the Texans defense is honestly giving me like that Broncos defense vibes of when Peyton Manning was there of like, yeah, we could carry a team to a Super Bowl just off of our defense. Like they
Mm,
made back-to-back weeks Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes look like bums, to be real, you
mhm.
know? So yeah, it's crazy to keep seeing that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. I feel like there's even though we've seen dominance from teams from one end, or we've seen consistency for a team overall, I still feel like what I've kind of been preaching, sometimes what you've been preaching since the start of the NFL season. I just feel like there's really still no clear cut favorite, just because with the L's that some of these top teams took were kind of questionable as well too. So I'm just like, bro, a team just got to get hot and they can really run it this year. So this year, like I still want to say, at least from the NFC standpoint, it's going to be the Rams, but at the same time, just like, bruh, I really don't know. It's going to come down to who's healthy, who's clicking, and matchups first and foremost. So this is going to be, like I said before, a great playoff. Probably just as good as that one when the Bengals actually played the Rams in the Super Bowl. That was a pretty exciting playoffs as well too. I kind of agree with you, man. Now that CJ Stroud's made his return, that defense is looking good. And I actually also had in my notes too that dominant Broncos defense that carry Peyton Man with no arms. They
Really?
also kind of remind me a little bit of Legion of Boom, and they also kind of remind me of that Giants defense. Um, that front four when they shocked the world and were damn near the last seed, wild card seed in the NFC, and went on to beat the New England Patriots not once but twice, especially that second go around. So that's another team that um, if they get in, is going to be scary because right now they're technically in and they're tied with Indy both at 8-5. Obviously, they got that win over them, but that 7 seed is going to be kind of crazy. So whoever gets that, I feel bad for whoever the 2 seed is. So yeah, that's going to be a tough one right there. Agree with you with the Bucks. At least Mike Evans is cleared now, so he should be suiting up this weekend. It seems like it's been quite some time that Baker's been without him. I mean, honestly, a lot of his receivers have kind of been in and out the lineup, but hopefully they can make some noise with this added weapon, with this specimen in Mike Evans, because even though that they're at the top of their division right now, they share the same wins and losses as the Carolina Panthers. So they got to win out this season or end the season on a high note because it's looking a little spooky. It's looking a little spooky. And I agree with you. I put that in my notes as well, too. Like from where Baker started and how consistent he was in like the middle of the season to these last couple weeks, he's probably yeah not in MVP consideration, not even top five right now. So it's just crazy how things can change on a weekly basis as well too. Obviously, we're going to talk about a little bit later, but Indy may be looking cooked as of right now, so that's going to be kind of crazy. Then I put man just watching that Bills versus Bengals game, man. Josh Allen just kind of reminds me. Sometimes he can be a hot potato, hot cold type of guy, but when he is um, playing safe and not turn the ball over, he looks like the most talented quarterback in the NFL. And like I said, with how open it is this year. I mean, I know we got our flaws as well too, but if he can kind of play like that, we get the run game going good. And off of that, we're getting the play action looking well. And our defense, even though it's been a little spooky and kind of like, y'all, we have a lot of injuries on the defensive end these past couple of years, especially going into the playoffs as well, too. We've been a pretty good second half defensive team these past couple of weeks. So if we can kind of be a little bit consistent and get a good matchup, especially like you said, like we don't know what's going to happen with the Chiefs. We don't know what's going to happen with the Ravens. So we're looking at that Mount Rushmore that we kind of had these past couple of years of quarterbacks, and only one of them may be in the playoffs. So I know we kind of got our flaws, but this may be Josh's best year to try to at least get to the championship game. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't get there, even though we know the flaws they have, they still gonna be like, oh well, Mahomes and Lamar weren't there. You still couldn't get over the hump. So he got to be locked in. But those are my takeaways from week 14. And hopefully week 15 is gonna be a good one. There's some pretty good matchups. And there's some games on the line for some of these teams that are trying to get their ticket punched as well, too. Who were your week 14 players of the week?
For me, I had my offensive player of the week. I definitely, of course, thought about Josh Allen, but I honestly feel like Joe Burrow really, really. I think I don't want to say he outplayed him, but there it was close enough that I didn't want to, and I felt like you probably would give it to Josh anyway. So I went with Puka.
Mhm. I'm not
Puka
mad at
had
that. I'm not
yeah,
mad at
he
that.
had 7 catches for 167 yards and 2 touchdowns, and 2 of his touchdowns went for 30 plus yards. So and they just demolished the Cardinals. So yeah, that was my offensive player of the week. And then on
Um,
defense, I had Rajul Douglas. He
Douglas.
had 2 tackles, 5 pass breakups, an interception, and he was targeted 8 times and only allowed 2 catches for 23 yards.
Straps.
Yeah.
Straps. Yeah, you already know I went with Josh Allen. Huge game, 22 of 28, 78.6 passing for 251 yards, 4 total touchdowns. He had his career long 40-yard touchdown run, which was nice to see in live action. And we came back from being down again. So it looks like whenever he plays top tier quarterbacks, he just elevates his game. So I'm hoping that this can kind of carry on. I feel like we kind of took the Patriots for granted. But now he's like, all right, Drake May's arrived, so now I know what I got to do. So I expect that to be a good game. It's going to be in Foxborough, but it's going to be a tough one. Defensive player of the week, man, I ain't really know what to go with, but just for the sake of history, I know it was a weak game, but their offense, yeah, so it was a weak game, but it is what it is. I went with Miles Garrett. One sack that was, I think it was for like 9 yards. He had three tackles for a loss, four total tackles, two QB hits, one pass defense, and he reached his 20th sack of the season and is continuing to, chase that history as well too with a couple games left. So those are my offensive and defensive players of week 14. Moving on from there, man. Carl Conyers, Daniel Jones, man, suffered a season-ending torn right Achilles tendon against the Jacksonville Jaguars in a game in which they kind of needed. So his torn right Achilles tendon, it was a non-contact injury. Just seeing that play, I was like, damn, like I already knew what it was after that. I feel like just when you just overcompensate, shit just never goes according to plan. And I don't even know why he was kind of playing on that, what torn or broken fibula on his other leg. So that was kind of crazy. How you had a fractured left fibula and then overcompensate, and then you have your right Achilles tendon tear. Um, I feel like with NFL players, they tend to come back faster than basketball players. So it looks like the recovery time for this one's going to be anywhere from 9 to 12 months. So he should be available for the start of the season. The only thing that kind of sucks is he was on a 1 year contract, 1 year, type of prove it deal as well too. So it's definitely going to be a huge blow for the Indianapolis Colts. But what are your thoughts, Carl Conyers, on Daniel Jones' injury and the state of the Colts right now?
It sucks for them, man. They really, clearly were going all in with that Sauce Gardner trade and gave up a lot of draft capital. And again, like, yeah, him being on a 1 year deal allowed them to, a small 1 year deal, allowed them to have a lot more flexibility for this year's roster. Um, I don't think that he's going to be ready by the beginning of next year because it's December. So that's potentially a 12-month. He might not be ready until week 5, 6, 7, 8, halfway through the year at least. And we haven't seen a lot of quarterbacks come back from an Achilles and look good right away.
Yeah, it took Aaron
Well,
Rodgers a year.
yeah, exactly. So like, and of course he's younger than Aaron Rodgers, but I just I think it's like worst case scenario because it messes up clearly the rest of this year to the fact that they're trying to I mean they did sign Philip Rivers, which is just fucking insane. Um, but it also to me like derails next year. Like I don't know, who they're gonna try and find. Hopefully maybe they can get Kyler because he's definitely seems like he's about to be out there. Um, but yeah, it's just like worst case scenario for them. And I was watching the game as well, and I saw when he went down, he grabbed the back of his heel or like, that Achilles area, and then he started bashing his helmet and like, oh yeah, because like players every time they say they know when it happens. So yeah, it was sad to see. I feel bad for them, but it's crazy because it's like the season was already kind of going downward.
Yeah,
Um,
they had a tough
and now
schedule
it's
going down the line.
yeah, and now it looks like I mean, they might even miss the playoffs, which is crazy when you think about like how the season started for them. So, yeah, just worst case scenario, I really do feel bad for him as well. I mean, I still think that he'll probably be able to sign a multi-year deal in the offseason, but I don't know for how much. And I don't know who with. I mean, hopefully it will be the Colts, but we'll see.
Yeah, it seemed like him and the offensive coordinator, pretty much clicked and they made the game easier for him as well too. I mean, he was on pace to have a great season as far as like stats wise. He's already kind of having a career year. I think especially in completion percentage is about like 68%, well over 3,100 yards, and he had 19 touchdowns and didn't have as much interceptions as well too. And I feel like this year we kind of, like I said, he kind of minimized his risk more than he did before. It looked like he had definitely had, improved pocket movement, ball location, and just decision making. And obviously that kind of helps with also having, an even better offensive line from last year and an elite run game with, Jonathan Taylor as well too. So he knows the system well. He only had a 1 year deal. It was cheap. Um, because they start off so hot, obviously they still have a chance to make the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to make the playoffs anymore. They're probably going to be middle towards the end of these draft picks. So I don't really see them getting a quarterback. I know Riley Leonard just kind of went down and he's from Notre Dame and he's, a work in progress. I don't really expect anything from him as well, too. But
Didn't they
um,
trade their draft pick for Sauce?
damn, traded a draft pick for Sauce. So, I mean, this draft class is also kind of weak as well, too. So, I think it's one of those things where they may just kind of go with Riley Leonard, or like you said, they could trade for a quarterback, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, and we're going to talk about this in like 5 seconds. If you can bring someone from the dead who hasn't played in 4 or 5 years, I don't think they have a problem with re-signing Daniel Jones, especially if he knows that system pretty well. But yeah, I don't see them making the playoffs. So we'll see what happens with that. But staying on the topic of the Indianapolis Colts, we have the return of Philip Rivers coming out of a 5-year retirement. Carl Conyers at the age of 44 to rejoin the Indianapolis Colts practice squad. I listened to a little bit of his interview he had today. Extremely excited to kind of be there. But I just don't understand what is good with this. I mean, I know they had a quarterback because at first I was telling you, oh, they're gonna just play Riley Leonard and whatnot. And then you're like, yo, he is fucked up too. And then I looked on ESPN, I was like, damn, Anthony Richardson on IR as well too. So they gotta get a quarterback. But I was just laughing too, because when I was cooking earlier, I was listening to a little bit of Cam Newton's little segment, and I was like, "Yo, if y'all gonna pick up a nigga from the streets, y'all could have hit up someone else." But I guess he's with that system. I mean, last year he was there. He was 11-5, had 24 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, up through over 400 yards. I mean, 4,000 yards. But it just doesn't make sense. I mean, it shows you how desperate that they kind of are. But Carl, he kind of old, man. Like, it's one thing to be like Aaron Rodgers, where your body is kind of used to it. You're in that mental and physical tip top shape. But it's another thing when you just been coaching from a high school level. You look like you out of shape. You look like you got a beard belly, all that. You don't look like you in shape at all. And I feel like it's a obviously you have those anomalies of older quarterbacks, but I feel like it's a young man's league. So I just don't know. Now in the era with quarterbacks, it's a mobile quarterback era. You pretty much the last of that dying breed with the Drew Brees, with the Peyton Mannings, and all other Tom Brady's, all those other quarterbacks as well too. So I know their game is predicated on the run game, and I think what made them also so lethal as well too was Daniel Jones is you have to account for him. He's a dual threat quarterback, so I think that kind of changes how their offense runs. But I think I think he low key one hit away from going back to home to his like 30 kids. But what are your thoughts on the return of Phillip Rivers, dog?
I think this is borderline elderly abuse. I do. They're especially they're already saying there's a chance he might start on Sunday. What? That is really insane, bro. I feel like he's about to go out there and get fucked up. And it's crazy and sad that they're putting this man out there. Uh, it's also crazy because he's eligible for the freaking Hall of Fame this year. Like that's how long he's been out of football. He's eligible for the Hall of Fame. And also what's crazy is they said like because right now he's on the practice squad, but if he gets elevated to the actual roster, which it seems like he will, that resets his whole Hall of Fame clock, which is I mean, I guess clearly he doesn't care, but that's like another 5 years he's gonna have to wait. Um, but this is just nuts. It really is really, really nuts. It's already one thing seeing these old people out there like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, but at least like those two were great in a way that Philip Rivers wasn't. Now he definitely was clearly a capable quarterback because he's in the Hall of Fame conversation, but I just think he's a different level than those other ones. Even like Drew Brees was playing when he was really old, but um, I'll say this, I saw something and I kind of agree that
Hmm.
this is more of like a symptom of just how terrible quarterback development has been. Like there
Mm.
should be plenty of options. I don't say plenty, but there should be options for you to go out and sign right now that don't involve you having to sign a 44-year-old who's coming out of a 5-year retirement.
Yeah.
But they don't try and develop guys anymore for real. And I mean, as we see with like the Daniel Joneses and Sam Darnolds and stuff like that, like they just give up on people almost immediately. They throw them out there, and if you don't figure it out, like We look at like Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, some of the best quarterbacks of our generations. They all at least waited their first year. Like they all took that. Mahomes took 1 year. Rodgers and Brady was 2 years, I think. And I think Rodgers was 3 years, and I think Brady was two. Of like sitting and like developing and learning and stuff like that instead of just throwing guys out there. So. I think it's also a symptom of a larger problem that this has even come to this. But yeah, it sucks. It's sad. I don't want to see Philip Rivers out there, but I do also want to see how this goes. So it's crazy. I mean, this is probably the craziest story to come out of the NFL this season.
Yeah, bro. But like when some of my friends and family members sent it, I was like, why y'all trolling? Like, like what's going on? And then when I saw like legit sources, I was like, oh, okay, all right.
Real.
This is interesting. And this is the toughest stretch of games. I mean, they've already had a tough stretch of games, but to finish out the season, they got to go to Seattle with that defense that you just talked about. And then they host the 49ers, who's been playing really well this year. Then they got to go against their division to end it. They're hosting the Jaguars, and then they're going to be going up against the Texans in Houston. With that defense, you just saw what happened with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Phillip Rivers, and he can't move. Yeah, they're cooked. They're not making the playoffs, bro. They're about to be they're 8-5 right now, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're gonna be 8-9, bro.
Yeah, no, it definitely could turn. Unless like the only hope is that they have Jonathan Taylor. That's like the
Mhm.
only hope that they really have is he just has like some 200-yard games or something like that. But it's not gonna. And maybe I'll eat my words and it'll be the craziest sports story ever. But I do not
Bro,
think that
I
it's gonna be Philip Rivers that's gonna win the many games.
Bro, I was thinking about that too, but I was like, nah, that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. I was like, yo, what if they make the playoffs and just run it? I would be so angry, but I mean, I guess happy for him, I guess. But
Yeah, I
I'd
mean
be
that would,
so
like I said,
angry.
that would be the craziest sports story ever. Like we'd be talking about that for years. Like, damn, remember when Philip Rivers came back from 5 year retirement and won a Super Bowl? Like that would be
That's
nuts. But
that's
I
kind
don't
of
think it's
goaded.
gonna happen.
That might be worth 2 rings, nigga.
Yeah, no, it would. That would put him whenever that 5 years come around again, he would be a first ballot Hall of Famer if he did some shit like that.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm definitely going to try to tune in a little bit to that Seahawks Coast game just to see how he looks if he is considered the starter for Week 15. Moving on from that, man, George Sanders is named the starter for the remainder of the season. And he recently made some history by becoming just the second quarterback in the NFL history to record over 350 passing yards, three passing touchdowns, and one rushing touchdown in a single game. And for the Cleveland Browns franchise history's sake, he became the first quarterback since 1950 to have 300 plus passing yards, 300 plus passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown as well too. So first with the Cleveland franchise, and then second overall as a rookie with Joe Burrow as well too. And it looks like for the remainder of the season, it's going to be pretty tough. Um, they got the Bears, they got the Bills, they got the Steelers, and they got the Bengals as well too. What are your thoughts on this whole situation, where it started, where it's headed, where it's going, all that?
I think it's a lot of people eating their words. I think it's a lot of people who were very harsh for no reason. Um, I want to, is it okay for me to, I'm not even going to put a video up, but just play some audio real quick?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Here, hold on.
Of delusion's the wrong word, but he thinks that it seems to me that he thinks, man, I was drafted in that spot for reasons that have nothing to do with how good of a quarterback I am, and now that I'm having a chance to show everyone how good of a quarterback I am, I'm back where I should have been, which is first round draft pick and be treated as such. And I don't, while that would be unbelievable for Cleveland if he plays up to that level, that's not how I think this is going to go. So I think that that's why it struck my radar of, oh man, I don't think you're going to get what you're talking about getting, at least no time in the next couple years. And so that
Yeah, no time in the next couple of years when it's already kind of looking like they might not at least take a first round quarterback because of how he's playing. I also think it's crazy to. So this is Nick Wright, and I talk about him sometimes because I do like him. I like First Things First is one of my favorite sports talk shows. But I was just like really disappointed by the way that they handled the entire Shador thing. I think it's crazy to say, why would he not feel like that he should have been a first round quarterback when literally everyone before the draft thought that he was going to be a first round quarterback? Of course, he feels like he should have been a first round quarterback and definitely not a fifth rounder. And he's clearly playing like he should not have been a fifth rounder. And that's something that we all knew before the draft. And because some people wanted to try and cover up for the NFL, it feels like, or act like there was no type of collusion. People try to convince themselves and say otherwise, but I mean, he did something clearly I don't think Dylan Gabriel's even capable of. And Cam Ward hasn't done it at all this year. And granted, of course, people will say it was against the Titans. Okay, cool. But a lot of other quarterbacks have played the Titans this year and haven't done that either. So to be doing that as a rookie, he's showing that he belongs to me. I think that he's showing, a lot of people were trying to say that they didn't think he would ever be a starter. I think that Cleveland might not be the place that he ends up being a full-time starter only because Cleveland makes a bunch of dumb decisions and they don't know what they're doing. But I think that he's done enough to prove that he should get a shot to start. And, of course, they've already named him the starter for the rest of this year, but I think beyond this as well, especially because again, he is a rookie. So hopefully you're only going to go up from here. And again, you have the pedigree of what all analysts felt was a first round quarterback. So I was happy to see the way he played. The first couple of games he played okay, had some mistakes, and he still had some mistakes in this game, but when it really mattered, came through and was leading them through a comeback, and then coaching for whatever reason on the last play of the game after he had led an entire comeback, they decided to pull him out of the game and run like a wildcat for the 2 point conversion. It was just idiotic. So it just feels like there's a lot of things that are trying to sabotage him, and he's still managing to get through it and get through the noise. I think it's funny also, when he was on the sideline as the third string quarterback and as the second string quarterback, there were all these things about like, oh, look at his sideline etiquette, look at how he's looking on the sideline, stuff like that. I haven't heard anything about how Dylan Gabriel's looking on the sidelines. I haven't heard anything about any other backup quarterbacks, how they're looking on the sidelines. So it's just interesting, how quiet people are now that things are going well, and how loud they tried to be before when he was on the sidelines. And just again, like, in my opinion, I think that America at large does not like confident black men. And to not make this into an entire racial thing, but I feel very strongly about that. And especially when it comes to the NFL, which is run by a bunch of old white men, who we've seen what type of men they are when it came to a lot of the political things that were going on, the movements for black people and other things like that. We've kind of seen what side they traditionally stand on. So it does not surprise me at all that they would try and like dissuade other owners and other teams from drafting Shador. And that it just feels like the odds are really stacked against him. But he's at least again, and I don't want to get, too caught up in it's only been a couple of games and this was only one game, but he's shown more in this one game and these couple of games than a lot of these other quarterbacks have this year. And again, especially than Dylan Gabriel has. So I'm happy for him. I think that, he has these next couple of games to continue to make a case of why he should be their starter going into the next season. I'm happy that he's making a lot of people eat their words. I'm not seeing as many apologies. And I'm hoping those, people will own up to it and come out and talk about it. But I've still seen some people be very disingenuous about this, like, oh, he lost the game still. And it's like, okay, it's a team sport. I can't play defense. My defense that's supposed to be one of the best defenses in the league let Tony Pollard run all over us. So I don't know what you
Facts.
want me supposed, but I'm supposed to do about that. But clearly I demonstratively outplayed the guy who was the number one overall pick. So that really should be enough in itself. But hey, some people are gonna try and just stick with this and dig it into the ground.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just crazy, like you said, how he was projected to be a top two quarterback, first round pick coming out of this draft, and got delegated all the way to the fifth round, and lost out on a lot of money as well too. His potential earning dwindled as far as like contractual the contracts work. So I think now he's on a pretty friendly deal. He's going to be making only $4.6 million over 4 years. So if the Cleveland Browns are smart, because the fan base is already like has low key been with him this whole time, the Cleveland fan base, you know what I'm saying? It would just be wise to had since the draft class is not even looking that strong anyways, have him be your starter, try to fully develop this guy, and then go out. You're gonna have a high draft pick anyways. Go out, get a nice offensive lineman, and get another receiver. You know what I'm saying? They already had one of the top defenses that's been pretty consistent. So why not? You know, with the especially with the AFC North looking a little wishy-washy, you never know what can happen. You saw with the turnaround with the New England Patriots, you know what I'm saying, who won what 4 years, 4 games or 8 games in the last 2 years. So anything's possible, but do you think Cleveland's gonna invest in him or you see him going to another team?
I honestly, bro, it's the Cleveland Browns. I have no clue. I couldn't tell you. I don't think they make rational decisions. I don't think they do the right thing a lot of the time, but I hope so. I think that would be the smart thing to do would be to build around him, drafting receivers and an offensive lineman in, these first couple of rounds would be exactly what he needs. I like some of the pieces around him already. They have a great tandem. I think Njoku might be about to be a free agent, but him and the rookie Harold Fannin look really nice, and Judkins looks nice. So they have some pieces there that I think that it would. Again, it's not like you have a generational talent in this draft, so I think you would at least spend this year drafting pieces around him and give him a full year heading into training camp as your QB1. And, from there you can make your decisions. If it's another bad year and he doesn't have a good year, then, hopefully you can draft another quarterback if you want to. But I think at this point, he's shown you can see it from the players. I remember Miles Garrett's reaction from Shadur's like very first start when he threw that pass. This is the best quarterback they've seen since Baker. Um, so that and Baker was good enough to get them to the playoffs, and I think that I think that Shador could be that next person. So, you already have your team behind it, you have your fan base behind it. You just got to get management behind it.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Moving on from that, man, the University of Michigan has fired head football coach Sharon Moore with cause effective today. And after an investigation found he engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a staff member in violation of the university's policy. So, um, they had credible evidence that they found of an inappropriate relationship with a staff member with a clear violation, like I said. And Yeah, by firing him for a cause, Michigan aims to avoid paying him a buyout of nearly $14 million as well, too. That would have otherwise been owed under his contract. He can still legally contest this, but apparently they said that there were also other prior issues. He was already serving a multi-game suspension this season related to his actions during the prior sign stealing scandal under former coach Jim Harbaugh, specifically for deleting text messages exchanged with staffer Connor Stallions. And then from there, I think they had basically the new interim coach for the Citrus Bowl. Then he also has some police involvement as well too. And someone sent me something essentially, and they said he was detained and arrested after breaking into the home of the staffer he had an affair with, and Moore threatened to kill the staffer and himself. And he's currently in protective custody as well too. So it's just kind of crazy how a lot of twists and turns kind of developed over these past couple hours. What are your thoughts on this situation?
It's crazy. It's really crazy. It's crazy to it's with the way that the news cycle is now, it's really wild to see things play out in real time, to go from like this happened, now this is happening, now we're seeing this happen. Um, But I was talking to my girlfriend about this. It floors me when these successful guys do this, especially to be real, again, like successful black guys, like because of course I'm the first thing I'll compare this to is Ime Udoka, and it's like, bro, it takes so much to become a head coach in these leagues and in college and in professional sports. So to ruin all of that, or even take the chance to ruin all of that by getting with one of your coworkers when you know like that is just a clear violation, and it's something that like most of the time you're not going to be able to cover up because this person, they're going to tell somebody, you're probably going to tell somebody, you're doing it in the office, like there's going to be some type of signs. And especially with this, they said that he bumped her pay up randomly for no reason other than probably because clearly this was his mistress, you know? So I hate it. I hate it for him. I feel bad for his family as well. Like that really sucks. Now they're having to deal with all this scrutiny and um clearly he's crashing out, but I'm like, bro, you made this bed, you know, like this is all your fault. Did nobody tell you to go impress? That's also the thing is they said he got her pregnant and got an abortion potentially with some of the school's money. So yeah, bro, it's really nuts. I hate to see it.
Mm. Got to keep your dick in your pants, man, and you just got to be practical with situations. It's one thing to cheat; it's another thing to kind of do it with someone that, uh, works with you and violates the policy.
Someone
But
that could get
people,
you fired.
someone that can get you fired, and like you said, you're a black man too in the United States, my guy. We don't get second chances like that, bro. We don't get second chances, and now everything's he's not about to get those millions. He's about to get owed, even if he tries to fight it. And now we don't know what the family dynamics are within the household. You know what I'm saying? We don't. You may get divorced, may lose a lot of things, and your life is literally going to change just because you just didn't have the discipline. So, like you said, bro, you reap what you sow. So it is what it is. But I do feel bad for his family. And can only imagine what's going on. I heard Shorty got her comments disabled, or and I think her profile went private and whatnot as well too. So it's going to be interesting to see how other things unfold. But shit just sucks, man. Shit just sucks. Carl Conyers, top 12 QB list going into week 15. Who you got?
For me, I have what do we okay. Shador at
At 12.
12.
Okay.
Yep. Then I have um Darnold, Herbert, Baker, Lamar.
8,
Then I got Burrow,
7,
Dak,
6,
Mahomes,
5,
Love,
4,
May,
3.
Allen, and Stafford.
Not bad. Ours was, I think from 6 to 1, we were pretty similar as well too. But I'm gonna go ahead and read mine. I'm not really gonna have commentary on it. I was shocked by you putting Shador 12, but I'm not mad at that at all. Kind of thinking about it with the history that he kind of made as well too. Um, but I kind of also looked at, all right, like there's certain players that I've kind of kept on there, even though they had some not so great performances, but just because of like kind of what they done, I kind of like moved around a little bit. So 12, this is probably his worst game. I ain't gonna lie, but 12 I put Jalen Hurts. 11 I put Baker Mayfield. 10 I put Justin Herbert. 9 I put Sam Darnold. 8 I put your boy Jared Goff up there. I put him up there. I think he had a nice little bounce back. Um, 7 I had Dak Prescott. 6 I had Joe Burrow. 5 Mahomes, like you. 4 Jordan Love, who catapulted all the way up to 4. Man, he's been playing some great football. I really fuck with his game. 3 Drake May. Another reason for him being 3 just because of the bye week. So we'll see what happens when he goes up against Josh Allen. 2 Josh has played amazing. Got to show him some love. And number 1 Matthew Stafford bounced the fuck back. So he stays at number 1 on my top 12 QB list going into week 15. Now I'm gonna pass the baton to you, I had a feeling last week I was kind of struggling with these fancy waivers, my boy. So who you got?
This week, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man. I'm in a couple leagues, and one of my leagues, I have a really good team. I'm in the playoffs. Another league, my team is not it. But the league that I care about the most, with like a bunch of my college friends, I literally missed the playoffs by like one game. So like this last week, I had to win my matchup in order to make it to the playoffs, and I lost. So I'm kind of over it right now. But I still got
Was there anybody on your bench that you looked at that got more points than any of your starters?
Yeah, but luckily, and I say luckily only for my sanity, luckily it wouldn't have made a difference even if I put him in. Like, because this dude had Tony Pollard he had Tony Pollard and Jahmyr Gibbs. So that's literally like 60 points right there between just those two. And then he also had Christian Watson, who now all of a sudden all he does is catch touchdowns. So his team looked really mid, and then they just put up like 120 points on me. So I had T. Higgins on my bench. And I benched him for Brees Hall, who didn't have a great game, but even that difference wouldn't have made me win. So,
Nah, he was dropping shit too.
but
He got low key a concussion, but
I still
but
got y'all. This week, I think the Niners defense is a really good pickup. They're going to be playing the Titans. The Niners have actually, their defense has been playing pretty well the past 2 weeks already, and the Titans are just a pretty good target. Now, of course, they just did pop last week, so who knows? But I think that's a decent hold right there. And then also the other two that I have is Harold Fannin, who I kind of mentioned earlier. At this point, even though Njoku is the starter, it seems like Fannin is like the tight end one really, and I think he has a better rapport with Shador. And he had a really good game last week, and then also Jalen Wright, because Chan is out, Ollie Gordon is out. So he looks like he's going to be the starting running back for the Dolphins, at least for this next week as well. And he just had like 100 and something yards and a touchdown last week. So I think that he's definitely someone you should try and scoop up.
mm, okay, okay, I like it. I like it. I like it. Week 15 predictions. The Buccaneers are hosting the Falcons. Who you got?
Bucks. I hope.
Bucks, Mike Evans back. Like I said, they lose one game, and let's say Carolina wins, and then they're bumped out the playoffs. So it's a must win for them. Patriots, Bills, in Foxborough. Who you got?
I think this is the game of the week right here.
Yeah,
Um, and you're
MVP,
not gonna
MVP
like it.
candidates, MVP candidates.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Patriots. I'm gonna go with Drake May.
Yeah, I'm I'm gonna go with the Patriots too. They're at home. I know we're a point and a half favorite. I don't really listen to that bullshit. They're at home. They're well rested off of bye. I think every team that's came off of bye except for one this year, this season, has won. We have more red flags than them. They're a well-oiled machine. Um, and I just feel like I, I I just feel like we're not gonna get as much stops that we need on the defensive end as well too. But I mean, last time we played, granted we were at home. I think we lost by a walk off field goal. We started the game with like two or three straight turnovers as well. Definitely had some injuries along the way as well too. I mean, it's encouraging to see some players that are finally healthy, but I think we lose by 3 to 6 points. Um, Bengals Ravens. One team has something to play for. Another team just wants to, I guess, get some stats up at this point in time. Who you got?
Bengals.
I got the Bengals too. I think Joe Burrow about to light these fools up. And you
Yeah.
know, with those nasty picks he had last week, he gonna make amends for that. It is a divisional game, so obviously they got the most, scout report on each other, given how much times they play each other each year. So I think it's gonna be. I think the Bengals gonna win by a touchdown.
Okay.
Jaguars, Jets, Jaguars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Another must-win game for low-key both teams, for one for position and one to try to make it to the dance. Man, Chiefs 6-7 going up against the Chargers 9-4. Obviously, the Chargers beat them week one when they were overseas, so it technically was a neutral site game. But the Chiefs are in Arrowhead for this one. Who you got?
I'm gonna have to go with the Chiefs, man. I think, this is Their season was already on the brink last week, but it is, they officially would be out if they lose this week. So
I got the Chiefs too, man. That O line for the Chargers still looking a little shaky. Justin Herbert, granted, it's his offhand. We'll see what happens. And I mean, even when I was looking at Patrick Mahomes' three picks he threw, one of them was actually super nasty. The other two is like you can't do nothing if your receiver doesn't fully secure the ball. You know what I'm saying? So the outcome of the game would have definitely been different. The possession would have definitely been different. I think they're going to try to run it, or at least try. So yeah, I got the Chiefs winning this one in a nail biter as well. Texans, Cardinals, Texans,
yeah,
Bears, Browns. Who you got?
Bears.
I got the Bears too. I just feel like that defense gonna give Shador a little bit of problems, and there's a reason why bad teams find a way to lose. um, and Caleb Williams been all right this season. I gotta give him a little bit of love.
He been the definition of all right. He's like 50 something, low 50s for completion percentage. He has been so inaccurate, but
mm,
they've been winning games.
they've been winning games. Giants, Commanders, battle of the ass. Who you
Yeah,
got?
just a bunch of ass cheeks. I guess the Giants. I don't know, man.
Uh,
Both those teams suck
I
right
guess
now.
is Mariota playing?
Yeah, I like Jackson Dart actually, so he's gonna be back, so I'm going with the
Oh,
Giants.
he back. He's back. All right. Yeah, home. Giants, I guess. Giants. Eagles, Raiders. Eagles bounce back. Yeah, they got to. That was nasty. Seahawks, Colts. I think we kind of already agreed to it with no quarterback or a 4 year removed quarterback coming back. Seahawks, right?
Hmm.
Another game of the week, potentially Carl Conyers, Broncos, Packers, dog. Broncos are hosting the Packers. Who you got?
Packers. I don't know, man. I don't believe in the Broncos at
But
all.
the Broncos on that, granted, they're different teams, right? But like, you just know how the Chiefs like just always found a way to win last year. I feel like that's how the Broncos are this year. Um, but I do think this is going to be the best matchup they've had so far. I mean, obviously they lost 2 games, but since they've been winning, I got Jordan Love going there and putting in some work. So this is gonna be a good test to see where the Broncos are at, especially Bo Nix, because this Packers defense ain't no joke either. So we're gonna see. Um 49ers, Titans, 49ers,
Yeah,
Saints, Panthers, Panthers.
yeah.
Granted, the Saints just beat the Buccaneers, but I think the Panthers on the road, I think they still gonna win. Um, Another good game too, Carl Conyers. Y'all gotta win this one. Y'all coming to LA. You know what I'm saying? Who you got? Rams or your Lions?
That's tough, but I'm gonna have to go with the Lions again. But I don't know, man. That's a real tough one. Rams been looking real good.
All them injuries, man. You saw me. I ain't picked my squad. Oh, I'm going with the Rams, bro. I'm going with the Rams taking care of business. Uh I think both teams, both quarterbacks are gonna have a clean game, but I think the Rams are gonna pull through with this one. Cowboys, Vikings. I feel like the Cowboys don't have anything to kind of play for, but then again, the Eagles lost.
You
I
know,
mean,
the
they're six
Cowboys
six and
definitely have
one.
something to play for. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, Cowboys.
yeah.
Yeah. And then last but not least, another must win for the home team. Steelers are hosting the Dolphins. Who you got?
Steelers, Dolphins suck.
They've been winning as of late, but I'm going with the Steelers. I'm going with the Steelers. So that was week 15 picks right there. And now we transition over to the NBA. What are your biggest takeaways this week for the NBA?
I'm gonna be honest, bro. My my big takeaway, I have one,
Uh,
and we were talking about it beforehand. OKC might be too good. I just it's again like I haven't seen this type of dominance from a team since the KD Warriors. Even like the year when the Celtics won, I feel like they were just shooting a bunch. Like I don't say just, but they were shooting so many threes and like of course making them, but it was just like a different level of like how they were winning versus
it's like the
OKC.
league ain't catch up to them, too.
Yeah, like OKC is just demolishing team. They just won their cup game tonight by 40 points, and like maybe more than 40 points. And
Shea
It's
played
the
27 minutes.
Yeah, like their stars don't have to play the fourth quarter of most of these freaking games. So I feel like when we get to the playoffs, these guys are going to be very well rested. Also, this tonight I think was the first time they even had their entire starting lineup together all year, and they've been dominant all year. It's just ridiculous.
Not even yet, bro. Not even yet.
Who didn't play?
Arnstein's still out.
Oh, wow. Okay, see, exactly. Um, so yeah, it's just it's nuts. I haven't seen, again, like I said, I haven't seen this level of domination for since Kevin Durant went to the Warriors, and like that was still kind of different because that wasn't like homegrown. Like they basically built this
Facts.
entire team on their own, which is like just through the draft, and like they
Yeah.
didn't draft Shea, but damn near, they developed him. He wasn't, nobody was
Yeah.
thinking he was going to be this when they traded for him in like year
Yeah.
two. So, um, yeah, man, it's that's really just my takeaway. I feel like we're the same way I felt that year is like we're just waiting until May for them to win again. Like I
Mhm.
don't see anybody unless there's some trades that might happen during the regular season. And the Lakers are looking pretty good, but
There's
I
levels to
can't
this.
see anybody beating them right now.
Yeah. I can't see anybody beating them from the East. Damn sure no one from the West, although it is about matchups, and I still feel like the best matchup for them will still be the Denver Nuggets, and that's probably it. But like you said, it looks like they stepped up their game. I know you thought that their true starting five played, but their true starting five haven't even played a single minute together, which is crazy. It literally looks like they're in the wreck, just having fun. And I like how, a lot of teams sometimes have that championship hangover and whatnot as well. And they look like they just want to prove everybody wrong. Everyone knows their roles. There's no egos. They're well coached, and they're probably gonna have the Clippers picks this year too. So it's gonna be
Yeah.
crazy. And kind of like you said, like obviously like LeBron went to Miami back in the day, and then we had KD join them as well too. So it kind of took away from the original 73-9 Warriors team, how they were built kind of homegrown organically. That's why I'm not even really mad. Like I'm acknowledging their dominance, but I'm proud of it because it is homegrown. So I'm not even mad that they dominate. We're not saying, oh, they cheating this and this and that. Nah, they did what they did, and they a small market team, and I'm proud of them. So that was some love I had to show. Derek Lively's looking cooked. Season-ending foot surgery, which sucks. My Spurs are looking like OKC, how OKC was about 2 years ago, where they're going to show out every single game. It looks like we made a great job. It looks like Coach Pop made a great job at, making the success of Mitch Johnson, so he could potentially win Coach of the Year. Although I do like that bad boy in Detroit, so we'll see what happens with that. Dylan Harper obviously was a number two pick. He's just so low key. Sometimes I forget he's a number two pick, but he's been looking really really good, especially with the absence of Wemby. I thought we were going to kind of take a step back, but kind of like OKC, we have our identity. We go out there, we defend at a high level, and we just find ways to execute and win down the stretch as well too. So Dylan Harper, I was just trying to figure out like different people to kind of compare him to, and mine was actually a future Hall of Famer, um, Manu Ginobili. I feel like he gives me a little bit of flashes of Manu Ginobili, but a little bit more athletic. So the 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 sky is the ceiling for him. So we'll see how that happens. And even if we do end up, trying to trade to get a player or whatever as well too. Now I kind of feel. I mean, I still want to see a little bit more. I want to see how this team looks. But let's say if we had to get rid of a hefty contractor, so with like a De'Aaron Fox who just got that max with us, I feel a little bit more confident seeing what we've seen from Dylan Harper. So that's pretty cool. Um, RIP to CP3. Obviously, you weren't here, so we couldn't really talk about that. Clippers just said, "Yo, fuck you, take your ass home." Granted, there was some things they were saying about like the leadership style, how he played, how the fit was. I mean, when I saw him play, he looked terrible. And obviously, he looks like he had some beef with Ty Lue, but to announce his retirement to the team he helped elevate to kind of separate themselves from the Lake Show, especially when the Lake Show is down. Kind of sucks. And it is what it is.
Nah,
Also, want to
bro.
give love to James Harden. He made history not too long ago, passing Carmelo Anthony top 10 on the scoring list as well. And then my last thing I said too, we saw this blowout today, right? Obviously, after I'm done recording, I'm gonna watch a little bit of this Lakers game, Lakers Spurs game, if it's still close. If I'm not editing too long, but no one gives a fuck about the in season tournament still. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I'm tuning to see who that championship team is gonna be from the Eastern side, but the way you talking, how we seen OKC, they about to clean this up on aisle 7 as well too. So, yeah, in season tournament is kind of a waste of time. I think we should kind of go without it. I don't really care unless like you, as outside of the players getting money, unless you get in the sense of like of adding extra ping pong balls into like the draft or maybe giving them home court advantage depending on if they finish like a particular like seed or something like that. It just doesn't make sense. Um, Aside from that, man, you kind of left and you were busy, but obviously, not only did Giannis have a little calf strain yet again, but there were some rumblings about, potential trades, him being kind of unhappy, and the team really not being set up for success to kind of compete. What are your thoughts on the Giannis situation? And, what do you think are some potential places you think he can go? And do you even think he's going to get traded, between now and the deadline?
Um, I think it'll be interesting. This team continues. If this team like goes on a long losing streak, then I think that the chances of him asking for a trade are going to be, much higher. But Giannis definitely seems like a really loyal guy. And he might be the type that's willing to, just take a bad year because this will be the first time they've been like just blatantly bad since he's been a star. I know last year they had a slow start, but um, yeah, they still ended up, being a decent seed. Right now, they're like the ninth or tenth seed. So I, w- I think there's a big part of me that definitely would like for him to stay, but I love when stars actually get to compete for championships. So, I would prefer that he go somewhere else because I just don't see them being able to retool that quickly. Even like next year, I don't know who else they're going to necessarily be able to add. Um, Yeah, I think the two main places that have been floated around that I think could be decent are Miami and San Antonio. San Antonio, you guys just have a lot of young assets and draft picks and stuff like that. So I think that, you know, I know you're a fan, so you might feel differently, but I wouldn't be mad at giving up like Castle and some picks and some other people to like make that happen. And then with Miami as well, you can give up Hero and a couple of these other pieces. And I think that they would be pretty good. At least he gets to that. The biggest thing is getting him next to another star or star caliber player. But I like both of those. I think him staying in the East probably is the more sensible thing, just especially looking at like OKC right now. But yeah, I like seeing stars be able to compete. So um, I am kind of hoping that he's able to find himself a better situation. But it'll be very interesting to see if somehow, because the same way I don't think that anybody really thought Dame was about to go to the Bucks. There might be some surprise guy contender who just comes in the last minute and they make some crazy trade. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the Spurs, if we're talking about like what's the most feasible with salary cap, young players, draft picks, that makes the most sense. Seeing how the season, because I was pro Giannis, what I'm saying, like during that time when we still had our like two lottery picks before we drafted Dylan Harper and Carter Bryant. I was like, yo, I'm with it. But now I'm like, yo, I really like where we're at. And kind of like how you were just talking about OKC to see where they started and how far they've come and how sustainable this can be for the foreseeable future for like at least the next 3-4 years. I want to see how we kind of pan out with this as well too. So I like where we're at. Now, if we did do the trade, yeah, we'd probably have to come off of Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, plus numerous first round picks. I think that would be the direction in which they want. Honestly, I'll probably, if I could, I low key would just want Dylan Harper and Castle to kind of not be untouchable, but you kind of have to give up something, especially when you're getting a MVP caliber player, a Finals MVP. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens with that. I don't think it's gonna happen. You said the Heat. I was also thinking about that as well too. The Knicks obviously kind of shut shit down, but I wouldn't be surprised like after a couple weeks they kind of reassess that situation. And man, I'm cool with giving up OG. They were saying OG and Bridges. I'm cool with keeping one of the wings, and you can get rid of Cat and give him future draft picks, and we cool with that. The Knicks would be a great market for him, especially him being international and New York being, the center of everything. That would be kind of cool. And then another idea I was kind of thinking of as well too. I know Sengun's playing very well, but that would be kind of crazy. He's still what 23 years old, 24 years old. Pairing him with, Amen Thompson and Kevin Durant with a coach that he probably loved with Ime Udoka. I think that's kind of compelling as well too. But as long as Amen Thompson's untouchable, plus you got that you could probably trade Fred VanVleet's contract up as well too. But I think that would be something worth exploring. So um, especially with his injury, like you said, they're gonna continue to lose these games, and this kind of coming out of nowhere, and also he gets hurt kind of crazy. So, I mean, if we seen anything from last year where Luca gets traded just like that, I wouldn't be surprised if he got traded by the trade deadline. So, for the sake of him wanting to compete, yes, Spurs, I'm good off that. But if it happens, I'm gonna embrace it. You know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, man. Any closing remarks for episode 167?
Hope everybody has a great week. We're getting ready for the holidays. Hopefully people are going to be getting ready to see their families and stuff like that soon. And, great, hopefully another great week of sports coming up.
Great week of sports coming up. Got some great games coming up as well too. I'm so excited for NFL Sunday. Bills, show me what's up. I got y'all losing, but I'm just having that little, when people, be like, oh, we about to lose, but you want them to win. I'm
For
gonna, I'm
sure.
gonna, I'm gonna put money on the Patriots winning. Knowing I'm gonna waste this money, I'm gonna put money on them winning just so we can win. You know what I'm saying? That's how sick I am. But
I
like you
feel
said, everybody have a good week. Hopefully it's great across the boards with the NBA and NFL as well too, and everybody get their Christmas shopping out the way because it's approaching real soon. But ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 167 of the Season Show. Make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media at the Season Show, at Carl Conyers, at Sir Seezus. We are out.